All right, y'all. Today we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business. Going to see for its local search and for its city search if it's got BSS, yes or no. And we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that pinned post, home video, pinned video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph here in white. Highest intent peeps on the left. These are peeps searching for both boudoir photo shoot in their city today. I focus on them and make videos about actually getting them to come to us. Here, videos about BSS. Over on the right, there's the lowest intent peeps. We talk about getting these peeps to come to us on our sister brand or sister channel, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And currently over there, we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So BSS, boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. Both are bad. 0, extra bad. If we got 0 slots page 1, that means we're page 2 or deeper. And we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So if we end on page 1, we're visible to approximately 80% of searchers, approximately 80% of buyers, approximately 80% of the market, so the bulk of the market. Bad, extra bad. Also, 1 slot page 1, that ain't good enough anymore. That's bad as well, because guess what? There's 9 other organic slots page 1. It's probably going to be 9 other boudoir photographers there. So everyone's got 1 slot. We're looking the same as everyone else. Not standing out, not looking special. So a boudoir buyer, what they're going to do is they're just going to click down, open everyone's website, opens everyone's website up and, literally get a quote, fill out everyone's contact form, get a quote from everyone, price shop, price compare, negotiate, waste everyone's time, blah, blah, blah. And, only 10% of the time we're going to get that person to buy from us. So that other 90% of the time we're wasting it. And 0-1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. It's not normal to have such a small few number of page 1 links on Google search. But it is accepted and it is, commonplace, but it's not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And I know this is normal because I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google search in only 10 days utilizing this new methodology we developed. Now, these 2 deeper root causes here are 1, market saturation, 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. Market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Over time, people get kind of new devices, new gear, new iPhone, new camera, and eventually people throw up their Google My Business profile, and then they now shoot boudoir, or they throw up their, website saying they now are a boudoir photographer, or they're posting them on Facebook groups that they now offer boudoir photo shoots. So it's more boudoir photographers competing for the same number of buyers makes it harder for every single boudoir photographer. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality, this is new to most people. Very, very, it used to be very common to accept this, very common to accept that, every boudoir photographer is, gets 0-1 slots page 1 on Google, and either you get it or you don't, and it's not much you can do about it. And even if you had 1 slot on page 1 on Google, well, maybe there's some market saturation and that slot, that slot goes away, or, then you go down to page 2. Well, you got to kind of hope those people leave the market and then hope Google puts you back on page 1. So it's kind of like a learned helplessness belief, but it's not true. We've learned it's not true because, again, I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google search in only 10 days. So we know the false belief page 1 equality. Now we know that it is exactly that, a false belief. We also know that a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. And yeah, dude, if we're on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. If we're on page, and if we're on page 1, everyone else has got 1 slot on, all the other 9 competitors got 1 slot as well. So we're essentially invisible as well. So if we're on page 2 or deeper, we're dying fast. If we're on page 1 with 1 slot, we're dying slow. In both cases, we're disappearing boudoir photographer, which actually is kind of like the warning light, the red flag, the canary in the coal mine that tells us our boudoir photography business itself is actually on the path to disappearing. It's now starting down that path. Thankfully, we have discovered a solution though. We've discovered that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And it works exactly as it says. You know, we saturate social search with the highest intent Boudoir buyer keywords, making sure that we show up there. And what this acts like is basically like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains, the eastern side, the backside of these Andes Mountains down in South America. The snow up there, what it does is it, all year it's melting into streams, melting, the streams, small streams, flow into small rivers, but it all eventually comes to be collected in the Amazon River. That's where all the water actually comes from. And that page one of Google search is the Amazon River, but we got to first stuff, SQ methodology. We got to first saturate, do social search saturation, put the snow up there at the top of the mountain, so then all those videos, links can flow onto page one of Google search. And this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can actually enable them to grow during periods where the market's getting more and more saturated every day, and give them that opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. The only other solution I've seen a lot of people to do that is having a large, well-known brand, but that takes on average, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years anymore, dude. AI is here. We need results. We need a opportunity ASAP. And actually, interestingly enough, S-cube methodology, by my estimates, can actually help those actually build a large, well-known brand approximately 8x faster than all these other kind of standard ways of doing it, just because we're doing more volume on more surfaces and showing up in the right places way more often over time. It's kind of like a double bonus of utilizing S-cube methodology. So example now. All right, so we are right now going to, we're going to Boise, Idaho. And there are 1 million boudoir photographers in Boise, Idaho. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they do boudoir photography. And as a result, everyone's website's trying to rank page one on Google as much as possible. Ultra competitive. We're like, man, we ain't got no large, well-known brand. Literally the only thing left that allows us to compete effectively is S-cubed methodology. So we decided to crank it to the max, like way more than average boudoir photographer would. And let's say we're taking up the first, 300 slots of social search across all the social platforms, and then that flows onto Google search. And let's say we're taking up the first 300 organic slots on Google. Well, it's 10 organic slots, per page on Google. So we're literally taking basically the first 30 pages of Google. So whenever a boudoir buyer searches for us anywhere digitally, we basically got like the first 300 slots to ourselves. So we are, basically we're basically the only one they can find, whether they're searching social media, they're searching Google, basically the only one they can find. So in this case, they'd have to, scroll to slot 301, or would that be on Google page 31 to find us? And so in this case, whose business is growing? Whose boudoir photography business is growing? Most likely only ours, because we're basically the only one that can be found by buyers. And whose boudoir photography businesses are dying, disappearing, going invisible? Well, most likely the other 999,999 boudoir photographers competing against us in Boise, Idaho. And so this is, kind of an ultra example of what S-cube methodology, kind of the opportunity it could give to a boudoir photography business, but this is like an ultra extreme version, ultra extreme example version. Now, once treated with S-cube methodology, we have page one visibility. So yeah, we're getting more links page one Google search. And the second initial benefit we're getting is every new link we get on page one Google search, good for us. And we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. This is awesome. So we can literally control how many of our competitors are on page one of Google search are not organic by our effort in acquiring these organic Google slots. And it's good because these slots have some momentum, not infinite momentum, but they do have some momentum. Unlike Google PPC ads or any ads, that momentum goes to zero the instant you stop paying for them. And let's see. Yeah, so a lot of boudoir photographers like this. They're like kick their competitors off. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us BSV. This is where the GBC universe recommends hitting a minimum or having a minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one Google search as the minimum. More is obviously better, but that's because basically every other boudoir photographer is going to have one slot each on page one. So if we got 3, we're dominating. Everyone else has got 1. We're actually standing out, actually looking unique. And the super rare train, someone has 2. Well, we still got 3, so we're dominating them as well. So we're basically kind of dominating in all scenarios here. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with BSS boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, we now have a solution. Thank the universe. SQ'd methodology. We use that to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and have boudoir search visibility. All right, so now my results utilizing SQ'd methodology. So I actually wanted to rank for this keyword, BLC. Well, I want to dominate page one for this keyword, BLCS boudoir. So I went to work purely utilizing SQ'd methodology and see my results. We're going down the organic slots. So organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. And so I went from 0 to 10 slots, Google page 1, to 9 out of 10 slots, Google page 1 search in only 10 days, purely utilizing SQ'd methodology. All right, main event here. Let's see this boudoir photography business, see if they got their local search or their city search, see if they got BSS for either of those. So we're going to East Hampton, Mass. All right. Going up here, East Hampton. All right, so let's see what we got here. Dun, dun, dun. All right, we got 1. Boom, we got 2. Boom, we got 3. And all right, so we got, all right, good. Local, we got 3. Got our recommended, we do not have BSS. We hit the 3 out of 10 recommended minimum. All right, now we're going to Springfield, Mass. Let's see what we're cooking up here. So, all right, we're at 0 out of 10 for our city search. So we got BSS for this one. So let's see. All right, so local search, we ain't got BSS, and we did reach the GBC recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page 1, Google search. City search, we got 0 out of 10 slots, city search. So yes, we got BSS, and we are not meeting the recommended minimum. 3 out of 10 slots, page 1, Google search for the city search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've done local search for the highest intent buyer keywords in your city, and you saw in your local area, and you did a second search in your city, and you saw that you actually do have BSS in one or both of the cities, or you saw that you did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots, and you're saying, oh, finally, thank the universe, something to finally solve this. SQ methodology is here, so you decide you want to use SQ methodology, and that's because you know page 1 equality is a false belief, which allows you to even look for a solution in the first place. And once you do that, you like the initial benefit, more slots on page 1. You like the other initial benefit, kicking more competitors off of page 1, so that way fewer, your price out gains way fewer number of boudoir photographers. And you understand the market saturation. Yeah, there's 2 prongs. People get a new iPhone, cool, more boudoir photographers. People get a new camera, cool, more boudoir photographers. But you're actually thinking of this new 3rd prong. You're thinking ahead. You're saying, okay, AI's taking a few people's jobs now. It's going to keep taking more and more people's jobs into the future, into the future, into the future. And as it takes more and more people's jobs into the future, into the future, into the future, you actually want to fortify your position on page one. Prepare for the onslaught of new boudoir photographers. Be a force to the market because look, people still got to earn money. If they lose their job, they still got, dude, they got a phone with amazing cameras. So we know people will be, new boudoir photographers will always be entering. And so you want to fortify your position, kind of like the levees down in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city's like below sea level. So I got to throw the levees up, extra fortification, so they're gonna get flooded. So you're seeing that, and you actually saying, okay, SQL methodology can also use for exactly that, fortifying your existing presence, page one, and across all social search. And you actually want to have page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and achieve boudoir search visibility because you need those things in order to become the number one boudoir photographer in your city. And you also like the extra back end things that SQ methodology does, where if you successfully execute it every day, you're increasing the probability every single day. Well, we execute it every day. That AI overview will recommend you. And that's because when we do SQ methodology, we're actually building these invisible thematic keyword columns for AI search to take in, kind of occupy more and more AI mind space or brain space in all these different AIs. So we're building different invisible thematic keyword columns, kind of like columns with Parthenon, Athens, and Greece, or like hub and spoke, like a bicycle tire, or where the hub in the middle are, or at least our business name across all socials and our website is the hub in the middle. And as we build these up more, we got more frequency, more authority, more relevance, more age. So all these increase the probability of us being recommended for the premium placement AI overview, and us being recommended in all the AI search platforms, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. And as a result, kind of this like invisible momentum we can build up. And you're saying you decide you're going to be the first one in your city to do this because, that my current plan right now is to work with only one boudoir photographer at a time. So you can actually close out all your competitors from doing this, get all these initial benefits, build up this invisible momentum, put a massive gap between you and the current boudoir photographers, and especially the future boudoir photographers that will eventually become boudoir photographers as AI eats more and more jobs. And you also know doing SQ methodology also supremely speeds up forming your own brand. So it helps compete against current market saturation, and doubly so, helps your brand become a household name way faster. My estimate is probably 8 times faster than traditional ways. Just because, dude, we're everywhere all the time. Social search, Google search, AI search. Just people won't be able to get away from us. And on the flip side, you see that if another competitor, if one of your competitors in your city works with me, and we do all those things for them, they get all those initial benefits, and the momentum built up for the secondary later on benefits, then what actually happens is there's a big gap between me and your competitor and then you. And to close that gap, you got to increase the well, first you got to derive for yourself the first time execute methodology, how it actually works and how to successfully implement it. And then you got to go execute it day, and equal our effort. And if you do that correctly, well, you're never going to be 100% confident executing it because you'll never be 100% confident you've derived it correctly. But even if you're equaling all our effort, you're simply maintaining the gap between me and your competitor and you. And so to outcompete us, you got to rederive it correctly, figure it out all correctly, and then you got to out execute us by like 2 or 3x. And it's like, dude, who's got the 80 hours in the day to do all that? So you decide to screw that. It's better for you to actually be the first mover in your city, lock out all your competitors from using this, and kind of roll this to victory. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when my DMs open. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed to new patients. But when I do open my DMs, shoot me a DM, and we will see if you qualify to utilize S-cubed methodology.